A lot of foot traffic, right. Saturdays and Sundays, folk are just, it's like a promenade, you know, there's up and down the street, up and down the street.
50 years ago, Rick and his family were huddled inside the shop, ready to fight off any of the rioters who were on the outside, still angry because Martin Luther King had been killed.
We didn't know whether we would get burned out or not, because we were in here all night long trying to protect the place. You know, I have a shotgun up in here, and we wrote Soul Brother on the window and whatnot, and so we were like ready in case something jumped off.
And just a few steps down U Street, Ben's Chili Bowl and the Industrial Bank of Washington, those two businesses were African-American owned, and they were also spared that night.
The area declined, the area went into a decline when those businesses didn't reopen, and the middle class began to move away.
For us, we just never left. And for us, our customers never left. Through the riots, through the drugs.
B. Dole Mitchell is president of the bank, founded in 1934 by his grandfather.
After the riots, you had businesses that moved. You know, the nightclubs and the restaurants weren't there anymore. And then the drugs set in because you had lots of poverty in the 70s.
For decades after the riots, drugs and prostitution were a big part of the economy. Unemployment had gone through the roof. Blacks who could fled to the suburbs. From 1968 until 1998, the city's overall population, get this, dropped by 200,000 people.
Here where we are right now at 14th and V, even up to 2005, when we first opened Busboys and Poets, the block between 14th and 13th Street was actually crack houses.
Andy Shalal, an Iraqi-American, moved to the U.S. with his family back in 1966. They lived in Arlington, Virginia, but he, as a young teenager, managed to sneak into the district.
Coming to 14th Street was not something you tell your mother you're gonna do. You know, it was a place for drug dealing, open market drug dealing, prostitution.
But why did you want a business right here?
Well, all of this history was being lost, I think, as things were changing in the city. Lots of people moving in that didn't know anything about civil rights in the city, that didn't know anything about the relationship of D.C. to the civil rights movement.
Andy Shalal called his restaurant Busboys and Poets to honor some of the great black poets and playwrights of the Harlem Renaissance, people like Langston Hughes.
But it was also known as Chocolate City, which was a city predominantly black and has a very strong black culture, a city of music, a city of poetry, a city of literature and reading. And I just felt like somebody needs to preserve that.
He wanted his restaurants, now he's got quite a few, to be places where people of different cultures could gather.
Honestly, I couldn't get any partners because no one would buy into the idea of what I was trying to do because it's so unique and so personal. For me, being not on the white team or not on the black team either made me kind of uniquely situated that I can actually look at the absurdity of race, the ridiculousness of race in America. And for me, Martin Luther King's assassination 50 years ago was my introduction to race in America.
The one financial institution willing to lend money to Busboys and Poets in the beginning was the Industrial Bank of Washington, the same bank that kept Ben's Chili Bowl and Lee's Flowers afloat during the tough times. Expensive housing going up all over the place. Why is it so expensive?